Greetings, this is the Timeshare Traveler. Today is episode 263, how to justify the purchase of a timeshare. So I want to go, I went through when I first did this, I actually created a spreadsheet where I tracked to make sure there were savings. I did it for different reasons. I did it for forcing myself to have a great vacation, and that timeshares did that for me, but I also had a side of me that wanted to make sure it was worth it. So I did a little bit of both. Let me walk you through the process that I would recommend you do. It's not for everyone. Timeshares are not for everyone. So I recommend creating a budget pre-purchase, just like you would for a car or anything else, a house or whatever. Negotiate the purchase discounts before buying, and I'll give you examples of what I've learned I would have done. I did some of them by accident, but now I'm a little smarter. Understand where you are after the purchase, and then saving money each year until you've basically saved more than you spent. And again, I didn't add timeshares until I'd actually proven that. And I recommend the same for most people, at least so they can see how it's going to be. I don't view buying timeshares as something you rush into until you understand it. So let me jump right in now and talk about creating the budget. Okay, let's talk about creating the budget. What I did is I was actually, I just saw that my cost for increasing vacations going to Hawaii kept going up and up and up. And part of that was my family is getting a little bigger. So I looked at the prior 10 years, things had just gone up and up and up. And I bought a timeshare because I actually saw that they were more luxurious than what I had been renting, because I was constantly trying to keep the cost down. So it seemed like every year my costs would go up a little bit, but I would sacrifice a little bit in quality. And so I got to a place where I'm like, wait a minute, now I'm staying in places I don't really feel comfortable with. How do I upgrade myself? How do I reward myself for all this work that I've done? I've been working hard in my career. So that was initially how I got into it. It was kind of like, I want to justify it, but more importantly, I want to make sure I have a good vacation. I was tired of constantly cutting costs and doing things. So I ended up buying a timeshare. However, I made sure that I bought a week every year that I could do, and it cost me less than this $25K. So this is currently what I think you can negotiate for. So I think it's a reasonable budget. Depending on the timeshare company, you might spend a little more. That would be with Marriott, or you might spend a little less. That would be with WorldMark, or you might spend about that, and I would say that's around Hilton's number. But again, that would require a little bit of negotiations. So I think it's a reasonable number. So that ensures you have a full week of a really good vacation. Maintenance fees, I put $1,300. That's could be a little lower, could be a little higher, depending on how you do it. Do not buy with a loan. This is a luxury. Pay for your luxury up front. Loans just dramatically increase the ROI. Even though I know the salespeople say, oh, surely you can afford, I don't know, pick your number, $200 a month. And the answer is you probably can, but it really makes the ROI for your timeshare much more. And I think I'm just trying to avoid everything that I hear leads to frustration. And I want to make this make it really work for you, and maybe give you the bad news up front. So create a budget. These are the numbers. You might have to spend more. Make sure before you spend more, you have a plan for how you're going to pay it off. Otherwise, I think it just leads to frustration. And again, learn how to use your timeshare before adding more. And I'll go into it in detail, but I bought in 2010 and 2008 and 2010, and I didn't add any more until 2018. So again, and that was because I had already done all this work. So highly recommended. It doesn't sound as exciting as they make it in the timeshare presentation, but I think it'll make you happier. Okay, let's talk about negotiate for purchase discounts before buying. So what I did is I did a marketing package that came up, and I had a 4 days, 3 nights. I got it for around $112. I actually didn't buy. I was just trying to learn, and they offered me a trial package, and I actually just stumbled into it. It was my first, well, it was my first experience, something like my second, because I was just trying to figure this out. And I would told you I was frustrated with all these rising costs, and I was reducing the quality of my vacations while my costs were going up. So I wanted to try to like stop this and do something about it. So they offered me a trial package and explained that I could come back for another marketing trip and I could buy this and then I could use it as a discount. And so for whatever reason, I got lucky the first time this happened. So the marketing package saved me about $400. I looked online when I was booking it, like, why are they offering me a good deal? Well, it saves me $400. Oh, and I get these bonus points. And I'd been staying at hotels. I traveled for work, and so I knew the value of having that. So I was like, heck, why not? So then I did it a second time, and that's actually when I bought. So I came back almost 6 months later, and saved another $600, and I was able to use that package I bought during the first marketing to get a discount of about $1,500. And that included having a savings of roughly $4,000. I calculated that trial package. Even though I got money off, I also got a week of vacation. So I got to have more vacations than I bought for the first couple of years because I took those bonus points and various other things to stretch things out. But anyway, I found out that I had saved another $4,000, which was equivalent to a 2-week vacation. So again, I negotiated all this stuff up front. Those were savings I got even before I bought the timeshare. So let me just sort of do a recap of how I ended up after I had bought my timeshare. Okay, so here's kind of where I stood after I did my purchase. And then my numbers were a little lower because I bought back in 2010. But I sort of updated them for what I think you could negotiate for now. Not necessarily what they would offer you, but what I think you could negotiate for. So the purchase price was about $25K and maintenance fee about $1,300. When I bought it was under $1,000 for maintenance. But again, it was 15 years ago. The savings of the 2 marketing programs was $1,200 that I already got. The trial package was worth $1,500 savings. It was actually big. The points I had from the trial package was greater than what I actually purchased, which was great. Bonus points as part of bonus points that I got for that trial package and everything was worth about $4,000. The total savings was about $6,700 with my bonus points and everything that I got. So the total cost for my purchase was $25,000 minus the $6,700. So I was really out of pocket after I included the benefits, the equivalent benefits. My net sort of real number was $18,300. And that, of course, made me think, how long does it take to save this amount of money on vacations? And I sort of did a spreadsheet based on my experience and realized it was about 7 years. However, I've since done this a lot, and I am going to now talk about what I would do going forward, which I didn't do the last time. It took me over 7 years to get the payback, but now I could get it. I can make it quicker, and let me just show you how you do it faster than I did it initially. So here's what I would do now, looking backwards, and I eventually figured this out. But it was a little bit of trial and error, and this, rather than going through, I talked about you have to learn this stuff. I'll just share what I learned and go from there. So along the way, I realized they would continue to offer marketing packages to me because they constantly want me to upgrade. And so I was like, okay, I'll do one of those a year. And then I'll do my week of vacation that I purchased, and that's great. I was saving money on that. By the way, mostly that's what I did, and I got a couple marketing packages here and there. And then somewhere along the line, I discovered the exchanges that were part of it. I mean, I knew they were there, but I never actually actively used them probably for a couple of years. And then I wanted a vacation, and I looked online. I was like, oh, this is close by. I can do a quick week here, and I did that. So now what I would tell you, if I were to start over, I do a marketing package every year. I do my vacation every year, and I do an exchange. Last call for RCI or interval, you could do the same thing, something close in. So my savings for the week of vacation You know, I've spent my $1,300 maintenance. Rental equivalent room was $3,000, so saved about $1,700 a month. The marketing package, again, saving the $600, just like I used before. And then the savings of a last call, rental of about $1,800, but the cost was $400 because it's taking advantage of the last calls that are available in RCI and interval. So savings was about $1,200. And so my annual savings is about, when you add all those up, that's about $3,500. So I took the remaining $18,300 that I had after the purchase, divided by the $3,500, and now I'm down to 5.2 years, which is way better than my 7 years that I originally did over my spreadsheet. And that my spreadsheet was a little interesting. I actually, every time when I got back from my vacation right before I went on it, I actually tried to see, I went to buy packages. That was less internet then, so it was more buying packages and staying at the same location. So I'd find like the airline would have a special to stay here, and happened to be this place where my timeshare was. And so I actually captured that cost, and then took a look at what my costs were. And it took me about 7 years to pay off. Maybe been 7.25, but it wasn't too much different. So again, this is what I would do now to save it off and pay it off in 5 years. You could also buy used, and there's all other kind of options, but I was going more with the traditional route, because if I can make it work with that and decided to do some better method, that makes it even faster. I also wanted to end with kind of, here's what I did historically, just to give you, I didn't add timeshares until I'd proven that it worked. I bought in 2008 and 2010, I bought 1 week every year. That was happened to be a Westin. And then every other year I bought a Hilton. And I wanted to have a great vacation every year in Hawaii. And then I guess every other year I'd have 2-week vacation, is how I did it. And I leveraged my bonus points to really, I did 2 weeks a year for probably, I did when I bought in 2008, I got 2 years worth of a second week. And then when I bought in 2010, I got enough bonus points to do it for another 2 or 3 years. So I spread those out. I spread my bonus points out over the 2 years that you're allowed to use them. And again, I wanted a great vacation. I've been doing it for 10 years already. I saw costs going up. I kept trying to cut my cost. I kept making the quality of my vacations less. And I think the last year I was in a hotel with two kids, my wife and I, and we were like crammed in, suitcases everywhere, clothes everywhere. It was just really, it was a great vacation, but it was messy, and I wouldn't do it again. And the cost of eating out had gotten ridiculously high. So the timeshare cost, I'm not even talking about the savings in food that you get by being able to cook in the room, just justifying the just pure rental costs differences. I did not buy until 2018, so I had 8 years, knew that it worked, and I was heading more toward retirement and more toward traveling as an adventure. So, and I waited till I could justify the future purchases, and it's worked out really great for me. Again, I have somewhere between 15 to 20 weeks at this point, but I live full time, so it's like a 3-to-1 ratio that I'm able to get by with just knowledge of how to do things. I waited until I learned I'd done exchanges. Been on marketing tours, was comfortable with the sales presentations, was comfortable saying no. I understood what was offered and only bought when I thought it was worth it to me. Anyway, hope you like this video. I just want to make it easier for people to make sure that they make a wise decision. I'll tell you a little bit about my channel here, but just wanted to give you that information on how to justify the purchase of a timeshare. Hi, this is Cliff, and I'm the Timeshare Traveler. Welcome to my channel. The purpose of my channel is to educate those who love traveling in timeshares. I've been an owner for 15 plus years at timeshare ownership. I have elite ownership with Marriott, Hilton, and Worldmark. I have published over 100 timeshare video reviews, and I've published over 95 timeshare tips I can be found on Facebook at Timeshare Trav, at Twitter Timeshare Trav, and on the web at www.timesharetraveler.com.